The world is a vampire sent to drain secret destroyers.
Hi YouTube, my name is Bobby Duke. This is my first YouTube video, so go easy on me. This video is going to be about showing me how I do wood carving. It's called relief wood carving, and it's not intended to be a complete how-to. I'm not going to show every step. It's basically just going to be how I do them, and you can get some pointers along the way. This subject is going to be a plaque, a relief carving plaque for a podcast. The guys that actually do the podcast that I really like, I'm a fan of. It's called Stuff You Should Know, and you should check it out. It's a really great podcast. I just really like it, so I know that may seem cheesy, but that's what I'm doing it for. Okay, we'll go on to the next step. First thing is you need to come up with a design, obviously, and we'll go and do that right now. When I make a design, I start out with it basically just hand drawn on a piece of paper. And then what I'll do is scan it into the computer and put it in a program like Paint or Photoshop, whatever, so I can edit it and clean it up, move things around, and basically you can tell that mine is lettering overlaid a question mark with a question mark border. It's kind of the theme they have going on there at howstuffworks.com, so I figured it would be kind of cool. Either way, that's the way I do it. And then what I will do next is flip it in reverse. I think my next one is in reverse. Yeah. So when I put it on a memory stick and take it down to your local copying store, it needs to be a thermal ink also. That's what I've been told. And so far it's worked out fine for me. Is you get a thermal ink and copy it in reverse, take it home, and then you can transfer it using an iron onto your wood. And that was actually, that's a big time saver for me, because I used to actually just glue the wood with the design onto it. And when you router it, it ends up being a big mess. It doesn't work as well. So that's why I've started doing it this way. So I hope that helps. Okay, once you get your design printed on a piece of paper in reverse, remember, because when it's folded over, you want the design to then show through, like if you hold it up the correct way. So when you're transferring it, you want it to be oriented to where you can read it. Alright, basically what I do is just flip it over, tape it onto the piece of wood on both sides, and get your iron really hot. Not hot enough to burn the paper or singe it, just as hot as you can do that. Get it before it actually starts to burn. Just slowly move your iron over the whole surface. Make sure you get it all kind of press. And when you're done, you can lift up a corner to see if it's transferred. Don't peel it all away. Just kind of look up, look at it. You can see I did a couple little test bits before I actually did the real ironing. And then when you're done, it should be fully transferred, and you can go on then to carving it. Okay, here's kind of what it looked like after I got done ironing on the stencil. I did have to kind of come in and fill in some of this with a pencil, because not all of it transferred perfectly. Here's the original piece of paper in reverse after the ironing. Now that our pattern has successfully been transferred, we go on to the next step, which is to router out all the negative space, or the background, which is anything that's not our pattern. And the first part is going to be routering out everything right here. Then I'm going to come back and router out a little bit higher up, not quite as deep, the question mark in the background. And this I will leave alone and do the hand carving. I have a Porter Cable 1 3/4 horsepower router, and it's just got a regular straight bit. It's a 3/4 inch straight bit that I'm gonna do most of the larger areas with. I'll come back with a smaller bit. I've got it set to a depth of 3/8, a little bit, well there you go, a little bit less than 3/8 of an inch. And always remember safety glasses. And alright, we'll get on to some routering. Okay, this is where I am so far. Took out all the larger areas that I could get with the 3/4 inch straight bit. Now I'm going to switch to a 1/8 inch downward spiral bit to get into some of the harder to reach areas. And then even harder to, in tighter spaces, I'll be using 3/32 of an inch carbide straight bit. And then we'll get on to the actual carving, but first I'm going to do the rest of the routering work. Okay, this is after pretty much all of the rough out with the 1/8 inch spiral down bit. You can see I was able to get back into all the real nook and crannies and stuff. Now I'm going to raise the depth or make it a shallower cut and do the question mark. So it'll be a step up, you know, background, then it'll step up a little bit for the question mark in the background, and then one more up for the letters, because they're going to be the highest up in the relief. Alright, as you can see, I took out the background of the question mark. Gives it that cool 3D feeling. It's kind of stepped up and then up again, like I was saying. That's about all I can do, or all I'm going to do with the router. And now the rest of the carving is going to be completed with a rotary carving sort of Dremel type tool and hand tools. Alright, now for the actual carving part. You can see right here I've already started to undercut right here using my chisel. Just come back in to give it the relief, the look that this part is flowing over the F. And also coming back with my chisels and cleaning up the corners. Since the router is a circle, it can only get a small, you can only go smaller and smaller circumferences, so you're gonna actually have to go back in with your chisels and cut those corners out and sharpen them up. And that's what I'm doing right now. So also, one more thing, couple of this may happen to you during the routering. You can blow out little chunks, and since this is basswood, it's a softer wood, and I like chipped that bit off. And it's real simple, just take a piece of wood, make sure it's, you know, a little bit bigger than the area you're going to carve back out, and glue it on. And once you carve it and sand it, it'll disappear. You won't even be able to tell there's a repair done. So, okay, I'll check back in a minute. Here's kind of the next step of the process. Before I showed you how to take your chisel and cut down and bring out pieces like this. This is this part where it kind of looks cool and starts to get fun. Well, it's all fun to me. You see I've rounded over some of the lettering. That's how it did look, and that's how it will look. It'll all look when I'm done. And the way I did that is I used a combination of carving chisels, which I use the Feel Swiss made to take out most of the basically just cut the corners off with a round over chisel or a small gouge, and just basically cutting off the edge. And then you don't have to use this, but I use it's a power carving, kind of like a Dremel, and I just come back and continue to round it over and add dimension. And you'll have to come back and clean up corners and stuff, like right in here and around there. You can see that, like that O looks like that. It did look like that, and all the areas kind of like in that W in the corners will have to be cleaned out, taken out. Alright, you can see that I've jumped ahead a little bit, but really all that I've done that you haven't seen me do is mainly just sanding, because after I finished, carving out all the detail around the letters and giving it the dimension, the effect that it's, coming out and going over and under, I've just basically sanded the letters. I still have to sand the background and clean up these question marks around the edge, and then I'm pretty much done. I'm going to sand it, well, obviously finish sanding, and then sign the back. I'm going to engrave actually my name into the back, and then I'll put a wood conditioner on it to help it look more uniform in color. I may put a stain on it and then a lacquer coat, and that's it. You can see obviously that I did cut it out and I beveled the edges just using a bandsaw and then sanding it. But I'll check back and we'll see how it looks when it's finished. Alright, now I've finished sanding and I've put a wood conditioner on it, which literally you just brush it on, and what that does is it helps stain absorb evenly and not leave any splotches or minimize it. And I've put just a really light stain, mainly just to give it kind of a nice golden color. And now all I'm going to do is coat it with a couple of coats of lacquer. I like just to use the Deft lacquer spray, because especially with something like this, it's really hard to brush any kind of top coat on it, because there's so many places to get in, and you just have a bunch of puddling. So after you spray it, or in between coats of spraying it, give it a really light sanding, or try to as best you can, and we'll get back to after the lacquer's been applied. Okay, here is the carving with about 4 coats of lacquer on it after the stain. It's kind of hard to get the glare out, but you can get a good idea of how it's looking. That is finished. I went ahead and signed the back with a little message. Alright, now it is finished. Alright everybody, thank you for watching the video. I hope you have safe and happy carving. Also remember to check out my website, it's dukewoodcarving.com, and also Josh and Chuck's podcast. It's Stuff You Should Know at howstuffworks.com online. And thank you very much, and I will hope to do more videos like this in the future. Bye.